Hello, hello, and welcome back to Temptations Ballad. So a new build came out, and that's nice because that means we get to go back to these characters, right? It's been a hot minute. Look, it's been like a few months. And then we just get to hang out with Cole again, and that's the good boy. As he fell over, the last thing he saw was Hamish's worried face as he rushed in to catch him. Sleep weighed on Cole. Sleep weighed over Cole like a heavy blanket. His whole body felt like lead. Not an ounce of strength was left in him. He could sleep like this for a month and still feel like a wet rag. Let him rest, just a little longer. Okay. Cole suddenly felt a sharp zap of energy course through his body as he shot up, eyes wide. His fur stood on end, a magic prickling through him like 1,000 tiny static needles. What the hell? His vision finally returned to reveal Artemi and Sid hovering over his with worried looks. Boss, you're finally awake. Are you feeling okay? My head. Please, sit still, Cole. I haven't finished healing you yet. That was healing magic? It felt like you were trying to shock me to death with a bunch of little lightning bolts. Artemi tried her best to look annoyed through her cloud of worry. I'm afraid all of my spells are... aspected... Aspected? With lightning, even my healing. There's not much I can do about it. It may be a bit unpleasant, but you can't deny its efficiency. Cole glanced down. Sure enough, most of the minor injuries he had suffered had completely healed over. The puncture wounds in his shoulder and thighs are still painfully sore, but the flesh has scabbed over with what looks like weeks of recovery. What happened? How long was I out? About an hour or so. Sir Hamish already gave his report on what happened. Oh, here, I can turn up the volume a bit. Probably. Yeah. He explained how the cloaked mage had sent a demon to attack you and other festival goers. Artemi let out a low growl of frustration. How utterly despicable. I should have been there to help defend you. Instead, I was feverishly wasting time at the joust. Frivolously. Frivously, yes. Sid's large hands rested comforting on both their shoulders. We're just glad you're okay, boss. How are you feeling? Cole groaned and rubbed his eyes. Alive. And that's all I could ask for, really. He glanced around and finally noticed his surroundings. There were tents lining the streets as medics attended to the people recovering from the mass fainting episode. Church knights and city watch were posted on every street corner. It looked like things were under control, at least. Cole struggled onto his feet and winced at the sudden stab of pain. You shouldn't be moving so soon. He ignored Artemi's protest and rubbed his eyes tiredly. Where did Hamish go? Well, after the Knights and City Watch secured the arena, he ran off to investigate where the demon flew off to. Hey, where did you think you're going? I need to talk to Hamish. It's urgent. A small smile spread across Cole's face as his companions immediately stood up to follow him. It was almost heartwarming, if a bit nosy. It's a private talk. Why don't you two go and investigate the scene of the battle for some clues? We're not leaving you alone, boss. What if that demon shows up again? I'll be fine. The demon won't be making any more moves after the beating Hamish gave them. You guys are more clear-headed than I am right now. You'll be more useful in the investigation. The two began to protest, but Cole waved his hand dismissively. I'll be fine. Plus, what will people think if the Chosen One is babysitting me instead of helping the wounded? Artemi crossed her arms reluctantly. I suppose if you insist. However, if you are in need of aid, yell and I will come running. She gave a curt bow before marching towards the tent area. What? You're not gonna go all mother hen on me again, are you? Sid shook his head with a small smile. Nah. I just figured you'd want to know how the brawling tournament turned out. Clyde's got a bunch of sponsorships just lined up to invest in his future blacksmithing plans. Your little scheme worked like a charm. Cole felt a flash of triumph that was quickly replaced by guilt. Oh, that's good. Did you know? Sid let out a small chuckle and nodded. Thanks for having faith in me. But next time, you don't have to trick me into it. Sid kneeled down and placed a firm hand on Cole's shoulder. His grip felt warm and affirming against Cole's cold, ragged skin. You're not alone anymore. If there's anything you need, please, just ask. Cole's stomach lurched as his candid... give me 1 second, okay. Lurched as his candid and undeserved display of trust. He suddenly felt a little sick. Yeah, thanks, man. Maybe is that a little too loud? I don't know. I should really get going now, though. He hastily turned to leave, but stopped as a thought crossed his mind. Say, while you're out there investigating, could you do me a favor? During the fight, I vaguely remember, accidentally blowing up Clyde's shop. Again. Could you go check and make sure he's alright? If he needs help repaying for the damages, use your tournament winnings to help him out, and I'll pay you back later. Gotcha. But are you sure you don't want to come with me? I'm sure Clyde would be happy to talk with you again. Cole shook his head furiously. Before the fight, the demon disguised himself as Clyde, and some things were said. I don't think I'm really in the headspace for a heart-to-heart right now. Oh, alright. Are you sure you should be talking to Hamish then? Heh. That guy's had to deal with me for 23 years. I'm sure he can handle whatever I have to say. Cole gave Sid a reassuring pat before making his way down the street on unsteady legs. Sid watched the little hyena leave with a concerned look. He was putting on a brave face, but something about Cole felt a little off. I shouldn't leave him alone right now. Let's see. Where should we investigate first? Oh. Okay. Among the rubble and trash scattered across the street was a peculiar dirty boot. Nobody paid it any mind as medics and knights rushed up and down the street to attend to the wounded. It was just a regular old boot after all, why bother? And roughly an hour of lying on the ground like a perfectly normal object, the boot suddenly shuddered. And then wiggled a little more. Abruptly, in a flash of arcane light, the boot exploded in a cloud of mist. The thick smoke lingered for a moment before dissipating to reveal an extremely confused Calder. What? Where am I? That witch! Is she gone? Calder furiously scanned his surroundings and breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, the terrifying visage of the floating bird was nowhere to be found. He was safe, for now. He had half the mind to press charges for an emotional torment that Shriek put him through. But he had the distinct feeling that not even the entire... Wait. The entirety of the City Knight's forces could hope to hinder that woman. Calder clutched his chest and let out a drained sigh. He should be alive. He should be happy to even be alive. But what in the world happened here? The street looks like a war zone. The noble flinched as another squad of medics rushed past him with fresh supplies. It appears that the festival did not go as planned. The wounded folks in the tents don't look too injured, though. Well, I suppose I should be thankful for whatever this disaster is. Hopefully the ruckus has driven attention away from my unfortunate tournament results. Calder shudders. Embarrassing himself in front of the crowd was one thing. If word gets out to grandfather that he failed so utterly, a sharp cock. Yes, of a raven suddenly pierces the air. A Calder felt his blood run cold. The messenger raven circles above him like a vulture eyeing fresh carrion? I don't know that word. It flapped its wings harshly against the cold air before descending. Calder gulped as the raven landed before him and extended its leg where a little note was attached. The bird stared at him expectantly. Calder wrung his hand for several moments before gingerly plucking the note from its leg. He unfolds the note and was greeted with grandfather's cold, harsh handwriting. Word has reached me about your blunder at the Firefly Festival. It seems you've made an embarrassment of our family yet again. Return home immediately. You will be dealt with. What is Gaius O'Shaughnessy? All the warmth drained from Calder's face as he scanned through the letter. He couldn't go home and face grandfather like this. Surely there was something he could. An idea flickered through his mind as he glanced at the messenger raven. Calder quickly rolled up the note and pointed a finger at the bird. Suggestion! The raven froze in a daze as he hastily retied the note onto his leg. Fly around the city in a confused manner, and then return home late at night. Give grandfather the impression that you failed to locate me, and deliver the note. Understood. The raven nodded blankly before fluttering off into the sky. Calder let out an exhausted sigh. I suppose I shall avoid going home for the time being until grandfather has cooled off a bit. Though it'll mean staying at an inn among the peasantries for several nights. The thought of it. The noble shuddered and held back a gag. Even if he had to demean himself, it was a fair price to avoid grandfather's wrath. Now he just Now he just had to find a semi-tolerable inn around here. We got there. We got there. Surely he could just book a room in the most expensive one. Okay. What? Before he could blink, the urchin was dashing down the street with a giddy laugh. Cole patted his empty pockets, and as panic slowly set in. My wallet! Get back here, you scum! Wait! Okay. Let's see, where should we go investigate? I mean, we should just go down in order, right? That doesn't sound bad. Artemi's face brightened as she caught sight of Maeve. This is just Maeve, right? It's been a few months, guys. I don't remember. Among the medics in the street. The noble woman was moving from tent to tent with a small group of druids in tow. Their hands glowed with the unmistakable light of healing magic as they tended to the injuries. Maeve's eyes were narrow with intense concentration as she inspected the conditions of the people who had fainted. Lady Osmia, do you require any assistance in healing? Oh, thank you, Gautier. Yeah, I don't remember. Is it Gautier? I don't remember either. But the druids and I have things under control at the moment. Also, Maeve paused. Didn't you get kicked out of the tents for zapping the wounded with electricity a while ago? Oh, that. I meant no harm. It's just that all of my magic is aspected with lightning, so... Yes, I saw all the people you zapped were instantly healed of their wounds. The healing magic of the Creator's Chosen is potent indeed. Though the lightning aspect and nature of your magic. Does it affect all of your spellcasting? It sounds like the symptoms of an internal imbalance. You should get that checked out by a more experienced medic at some point. Until then, I'm afraid your healing abilities are less than practical. Artemi gulped and bowed her head deeply. My deepest apologies. Unfortunately, my healing instructor, Sir Theomore, I hope that's right, is out of town at the moment. I will remove myself from the premises if you'd like. Maeve held out a patient hand. There is no need. In fact, would you mind accompanying me as I make the rounds? The mere presence of the Creator's Chosen will provide the people with a sense of safety and security. Maeve squinted. Just don't touch anything. Of course. As you command, my lady. Artemi swore as she glimpsed the noble woman's smile slightly under her veil. Before she could comment, Maeve quietly ducked out of the tent and made her way down the street. Artemi gulped before hastily following. No, excuse me. They spent the next hour going from tent to tent, aiding all the wounded. Thankfully, it seemed most people were uninjured, and it seemed, and simply recovering from their fainting spell. Even so, Maeve's inspected each and every one of them to ensure they were of good health. Artemi felt rather useless as she stood stiffly next to her as she worked, but the villagers seemed happy to see her with them. A thought struck Artemi as the two of them continued their rounds. Is it surprising that most of the medics here are druids of the exterior? Oh, it is, not is it. Yeah, it is. Were the festival staff unable to receive aid from the other mages? A frown flickered across Maeve's face for a brief moment. Is it a surprise? Most of the church's clerics were reluctant to work alongside my countrymen. Within the city, druidcraft is seen as a primitive magic that few take seriously. Wizardry is the magic class that commands the most respect around here. Oh. Well, surely there are plenty of wizards who are available to aid the wounded. Maeve let out a small laugh. Oh, my dear Gautier, wizards won't be much help in this situation, I'm afraid. They are the magic class who can learn the greatest divinity of spells, but they are utterly incapable of learning healing magic. Why can't they learn any healing spells? Obviously, because wizards don't care about other people. Really? Is that true? Maeve let out a long sigh. That was a joke, Gautier. Relax. You needn't be so uptight. My apologies. I will do my utmost to loosen up in the future. That's not. Maeve frowns, but seems to give up halfway before switching topics. I was originally a pure druid, but I was forced to take classes in wizardry because none of the other nobles would take me seriously. Ironic, given how little use they are in this situation. Oh, that's a shame. Have you proved much more? You have proved much more helpful than I have. All I've managed to do was stand around while you do all the work. The people here are surely grateful for your aid. Perhaps in time, public opinion on druidcraft will shift to a more favorable position. Maeve's eyes soften. That would be a day I long to see. She brushed her hair out of her eyes and stared back at the trees lining the streets. As much as I like to rag on wizardry, my studies were useful in analyzing the fainting phenomenon victims today. Artemi's ears perked up. Have you found any useful information? Yes, and the implications are rather strange. She paced down the street while deep in thought. The magic afflicting the fainting victims is extremely similar to the force they drained the life out of my countrymen during the locust famine. But unlike the famine, this magic has a tinge of necrotic and infernal energy. You'd think these traits would make the fainting phenomenon deadlier, but... May frowned. Despite the addition of these malevolent elements, the power behind the fainting phenomenon appears to be purposefully non-lethal. The following facts are clear. Both phenomena are designed to drain the life out of its victims. However, the person behind the locust famine had the intent to kill, while the fainting phenomenon is careful to avoid lethal harm. Artemi scratched her chin thoughtfully. Well, obviously the cloaked mage is behind the fainting phenomenon. But it's hard to believe they intend to be non-lethal after they sent a demon to hunt down my friends. Perhaps they lost control of their demons somehow. She glanced at Maeve carefully. I know you are interested in the fainting phenomenon because you believe that the culprit is the same one behind the locust famine. But do you think it's possible that these culprits are two unrelated parties? Maeve let out a frustrated sigh. It's definitely possible. However, the methodology behind their magic is too similar to be unrelated. These incidents are connected somehow. I just know it. We will have to investigate further. Okay. I'll end the part here, so I'll see you around, everyone.